Okay. Oh, oh, it's a woman now. Oh, okay. We're trying to be diverse with the recording sounds. Okay. All right. Ready?
Yeah.
Mark?
Yep, all set.
Okay. I am so excited. I am overjoyed actually to have my next guest here with me, Noor Abukaram, who I think, oh my gosh, who is the queendom. Okay. She is from the city of Toledo, and I have known Noor since she came on the scene, but I would love to have you, Noor, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit of your background, and then I want to chime in on how we met. So let's get to know a little bit more about you. Hi,
Okay,
Noor.
so like she said, I'm Noor Abukaram. I'm the founder of Let Noor Run, fighting discrimination and injustice in doing what we love. I founded Let Noor Run shortly after I was disqualified from a cross country meet for wearing the hijab. And today I advocate for people to do what they love and to make spaces more inclusive for women and athletes and Muslim women especially. And I'm also a student at The Ohio State University. I study
Go
fashion and
Bucks.
retail. Totally different view than what I did than my advocacy with fashion, but I do try to tie the two together always, and I love it. So that's it.
Yes, I love you, love it, because that's why we connected. I heard about this woman and my whole life just opened up because it is it's just your lifestyle. Isn't it interesting how this came into your life? Have you ever thought about this? Now, people in Rise with Diana podcast land, they can understand immediately of why you are on this podcast, why we're connected, why you're speaking again at the All Rise Live Global Summit. We talk about that at the end. But Noor, share with me, have you ever began to think about like that this is in your
Mhm.
world, it's in your mission, it's what you're supposed to carry on this life. Tell us about what you felt when you started to realize
Mhm.
this.
Because I'm a true believer in one, that everything happens for a reason, and two, that we are all here for purpose. I don't
Come
think
on.
that we were here on this earth for any reason besides that we each have a purpose here. And I was lucky enough that my purpose
Mm,
kind of just slapped me in the face one day, you know,
mm,
and
mm,
that to me,
mhm,
that's something that I'm so grateful for in a way, that I was able to find my purpose and see my purpose so clearly and understand,
mm,
okay, this is what I'm meant to do. And I think that takes, you know, like when you're coming from a place where it should be something, you know, sad, something you want to cry about. But it kind of takes the harshness away from it, because you're like, this is,
mm,
I believe what I'm supposed to do. And I'm here for the
mhm,
next generation. I'm here to serve the
mm,
next generation and what I can to make them, you know, go through less hurdles as athletes, as
mhm,
Muslim women, as people that want to practice their religion freely. So I think that yeah, it's a really beautiful thing, and it's an amazing thing if you truly believe that. If you truly believe that we're all here for a purpose, then these big life obstacles and hurdles that come your way, you're able to kind of just step back and say like, it's okay, because this is why I'm here.
mm, mhm.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm lucky enough to have been just slapped in the face and shown like this is what you're supposed to do, and roll with
Okay,
it.
I mean, but y'all need to hear this. She
Mhm.
said I was slapped in the face. But Nora, I'm gonna give you a little slap and let you know a lot of people don't realize this, right? There's some grounding
Mhm.
that you had before you had this happen. I want
Yeah.
you to talk a little bit about that grounding. Because right now you look like your mama, and you know how much I love your mama. Okay. But I want you to talk about that grounding, which comes from your environment. Share what has been feeding you. What have you been feeding on before this
Mhm.
happened?
Yeah. Oh my God. So I was raised
Mm,
in a very religious household. Thankfully, we're Muslim. I was born Muslim, raised Muslim. I went to Islamic school my entire life. I started wearing the hijab at 12 years old, right when I hit puberty. And I was raised by a really, really strong woman. And
Mm.
that is what I would attribute everything to. And I'll always
Okay. Can we say period?
and I pray for my mom, but she has taught me to be the woman that I am today. Even, and we're talking about, so I was disqualified when I was 16 years old, and
Right.
now I'm turning 21 in 4 days. But
Wow.
I'm gonna be 21.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. So when I was 16, I was able to take a step back, and I didn't fully understand it at the time. That idea of taking a step back and then understanding what I'm supposed to do. I wasn't able to understand that until this year. Do you know what I'm saying? But I was able, but
Yeah.
I had my mom. I had people that are a little bit more mature, you know what I mean, and understand what's
Yeah.
going on, and understand that, Nora, you need to take a minute. Nora, let's
Yeah.
talk about it. All of those ideas, people say it all the time, like, how do you even, you're 16 years old. And yeah, I was only 16 years old. I wasn't a superhero at 16. I
Mhm.
wasn't a super mature 16-year-old acting like she's 30, you know. It's that I had people in my life to guide me, and I attribute that to my mom, that guidance that I've always had. And like you were saying, it comes from such a young age and being grounded. And I'm so grateful. We grew up going to the masjid. We grew up learning our religion, loving our religion. And I think that also has a lot to do with it. And then having such a great role model to look to, like my mother, it's just, you're able to grow, and it's hard to grow
Mm.
without those role models. And I know that I'm lucky enough to have that. And yeah.
Come on now, Bryce with Diana podcast people. Y'all better be clapping in your cars, honking your horns. And like, if you flipping some burgers, you better flip it. Because here's the thing. We talk about this all the time, mentorship, right?
Mhm.
We have to understand that one, our mamas, because we are going to be seriously raising the roof for our mamas, because we women, we still have to, and the mamas that are like in this country, in this world, we have to stand up proudly to know that the worth that we have, what we are responsible for in raising this next generation and being a strong. But then also too, what I love what you said is you said, let me let you know it's okay to not be okay right now. Okay. And look, y'all don't see this, but my shirt says it's okay not to be okay. Because y'all need to know that it's good to just take that respite time so that you can ground yourself when you do get sometimes slapped in the face. Girl, what you just said in that just 2, 3 minutes was so powerful. Who else do you say you attribute your new, I should say, the I would say girdling and sharpening toward your path? Who else would you say helps you see that
um
in your life?
Aside from my mom,
Yeah. Besides the
uh,
mama, because I know we got good things to the mamas.
I would say, like you were saying, it's mentorship.
Yeah.
And I think that one of the things about mentorship, and one thing that I've been able to understand, is that you go to different people for different things. Um,
Yes.
yeah. And if
That point.
it depends, like, it's on the advice that you need. Like, I know I'm gonna call Diana, you know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah.
For something specific. I'm not gonna call Diana
Mhm.
for literally anything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
I need to talk to Diana about purpose, and I need to talk to her about what I'm doing, what's going on, I'm calling
Yeah.
Diana, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that's such an important thing to understand about
So good.
mentorship, is that you
Mm.
find where you're good. My cousin, she's a Columbia graduate, and she graduated in nonprofit organization, and basically she's an expert in thanking donors and thanking
Mm.
sponsors, stuff like that. And I needed some help on literally writing a thank you speech. And who did I call? I didn't call someone random
Yeah.
that I didn't, that didn't have that sort of expertise, but she does. So I went and I called her and I talked to her, and she helped me through that. And I think
Mhm.
understanding who your mentors are and where you can find the most success with what mentor is how you're able to succeed with your network. And I think that's how you properly build your network, is through mentorship in a way, especially as a young person.
Mm.
Understanding that you don't got it all, and that that everyone else around you really does have it. You know what I mean? And you can find it
Mhm.
if you look the
Such
right
a
way.
bright light. You are such a bright light for young people today because often we live in this singular society that I can do it by myself, which is not wise. You already have this beautiful wisdom at this age. It makes me think of this book, which is an OG book called Think and Grow Rich, and it's by Napoleon Hill. And basically, he's saying you have to have, and I like to call them a board of directors. You have to
Mhm.
have a board of directors and they're mentors. And then also do yourself a favor and mastermind with them often. Create a community of people where you're consistently talking about that. And that's going to help you rise. But of course, that's the Rise or Die in a podcast in the All Rise Live Global Summit. But we could catch that up later. Superpowers. Tell me, you got some superpowers. I would love to hear what you believe are your superpowers.
I think that it comes back to that idea of understanding my uniqueness and
Mm.
understanding why I'm here. And I think that's
Mhm.
always been a power of mine that
Mhm.
I'm I feel like I'm like boasting about myself, but I feel
Boast
like
on. Come on. Yes,
I feel like
please.
it's a really it's a trait that I have where I'm able to take something and turn it into something positive or
Mhm.
something bigger than myself. When I was so we passed a law in the state of Ohio that prohibits organizations from implementing discriminatory policies. And the law didn't pass until 2 years after my disqualification. And I remember I ran into someone at a graduation party, like a random party, and he asked me if I'm running in college, and I was like, no. And then he goes, well, what the heck was all this for? And I think that, and I was like, well, it wasn't about me. It was never about me, you know. If it was
Mm.
about me being able to run in the next race, I would have just signed the waiver and ran in the next race. But it wasn't. And this law
Mm.
didn't pass until I was out of high school, out of sports. I run, but not for any federations that have discriminatory policies. And
Mhm.
I think that that taking that and understanding that it's not about you and taking yourself out of it
Mm.
and having empathy towards the next generation is a superpower. I feel like
Mhm.
that I've had, and I'm able to constantly have to go back and reflect on that
Mm.
and have to go back and reflect on my mission and understand, okay, why are we doing this? Who are we doing
Mm.
this for? And thankfully, I still have a little sister, and
Mm.
she's growing, but she's not that old yet, and she's 12. Oh my god, she's growing
Mhm.
so much. But I've always used her from the beginning, from when I was 16, as my anchor, and
Mm.
as the like, okay, this is my purpose, this is what we're doing here. And I think that being able to find that in a way is a superpower.
Mm.
And I hope that everyone um, is hopefully able to walk away recognizing their superpower and recognizing an anchor.
Mm. Yeah, I'm mesmerized. Seriously, because it is so amazing that you did this. You passed a law. Because I know as an attorney, justice does not come quickly. And so there is when it becomes about ego, then you tend to get a little kind of like, well, maybe I should just call it quits. But when
Mhm.
it's really about mission and purpose, you really can stand the test of time and you can rise. That's what I have seen with you: consistency, perseverance, this idea of it's me, but it's not about me. So, do
Mhm.
you believe that through this process, it sounds like your authentic voice has shown?
Oh
Tell me a
yeah.
little bit about that. Like, I
Mhm.
would say the burning off, if you will, right? Because when things happen, it's like, "Ugh, what are we doing?" And then you
Yeah.
start to dig deep, which is what I'm hearing. You're digging deep. And then, of course, let's not dismiss from a runner to another runner. Running is where it's at because you do feel a sense of, satisfaction and this ability to kind of surrender. But then talk to me about it, baby. Authentic voice.
Yeah, I think that okay, so we're just gonna talk. So it's been four
Talk,
years.
baby. Yes.
I was 16. Oh my God, I'm turning 21 now. And I'm just kidding. to wrap my mind around that. But
Yeah.
but it's my own process. It's okay.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I was 16, and I think that from 16 I understood that I needed to be my most authentic self, and I understood the mission, and I understood all that. But I think now I'm finally like shed the skin, you know, I'm finally my full authentic self. And it's not that I haven't always known who she was and I haven't always known how she should be, but I think now I'm finally able to take that and fully just lead with conviction in that authentic self. It's a little bit different than when I was 16, you know what I mean? And I was like, no, I'm gonna run in my hijab. Where now it's like, no, I'm running in my hijab because this is what I believe in, and I can lead with more conviction now. And I think that's where that growth comes from.
Yeah.
But it starts by knowing what it looks like and knowing that, like, okay, I know what I believe in, but am I full of conviction in what I believe in? Maybe not yet. But understanding that I'm going to get there, I think, is what got me through the last 4 years, is that idea that I'm going to get to this place where I am now, thankfully, that I have this full conviction and understand that this is who I am. This is where I'm supposed to be and doing my best. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And then you're able to lead with more confidence in that way. And you're able to have your authentic voice. And I would say that my voice now is so much different from my voice when I was 16.
Yeah.
Although the story stays the same, you know, the mission stays the same, but the conviction that I have and the belief in myself is so much different. And it comes from time, and it comes from mentorship and storytelling and having the right people around you to continue to
And
push
doing it. Here's the
you up.
thing, Nora, I have not seen you not do it. You do it afraid. You do it even when your voice is trembling. You do it because you understand the mission, right? People are looking at you, right? And I know that had to been something you had to weigh, like, you know, and so I just feel like I've seen you do it. And this is just something I want people to hear in Rise with Diana podcast land. Like, you got to just do it. You got to just go out there and do the thing, because then you will get better at it by doing it. With all of this, do you feel at this beautiful age that you turning, girl, 21, do you feel anything else calling you? Do you see anything as you're doing it, as you're running all around the world? Because where are you going next? Which race you going to next? Berlin. When she goes to Berlin, Germany. Do you feel anything calling you? Anything else?
Yeah, I think so. As an advocate, you always want to do more, and you always want to speak for the voiceless. And I said it before, like, you know, for me, it's like my little sister, you know, but I think that as an advocate, you want to do more. Right now, the Olympics are happening, and French Muslim athletes, French Muslim women who wear the hijab cannot compete in the Olympics because they have rules against hijab. As a reminder, France has banned hijab from public schools since 2004. So knowing that at the world stage of athletics, this is what's happening, it's almost, as an advocate, you feel, okay, the trickle down is coming. You know what I mean? This is going to trickle down into youth sports the same way that it trickled down into youth sports when I was disqualified in 2019. And so I think that as an advocate, knowing that your work, you have to keep going, you have to keep working, because the world is always changing around you and policies are always changing around you. And for some reason, it's never working in our favor. So as an advocate, you always feel like there's more to do. And I think that for me, when I look at the world stage of athletics, this is the state that it's in right now. In my mind, I can't even wrap my head around, okay, like, I'm talking with my mom, because it's me and my mom, let Noor run. And I'm talking with her, I said, what are we supposed to do next? And for us, it's on the local level. And that's what we can focus on, is the local level and increasing inclusivity here in Ohio, in Toledo, Ohio, and like wherever we're at. So yeah, there's always a need to do more. And I don't think it ever goes away. And I hope it never goes away. Like, honestly, I hope it never goes away, because the minute I'm like, okay, I did everything I did, then that's when I know not my purpose and that this is not what I'm.
Yeah. Girl, this is so good because I feel when we're talking about corporate women, like we first of all have to get a grounding, and I know you have a practice that keeps you grounded, right? You run, but there's a practice that keeps you grounded. But the key principle of what I just heard is that, there are things that still in my purview that are injustices. And I want to kind of, dovetail a little bit because remember when we were at this country club and there was a all women's golf tournament going on, and we found ourselves at this country club in the boardroom where no women are on the board. Now, I was a little hot. I don't know if you remember that. Do you remember that time? We were in the room together. And here's the thing I want to share because you just said there's this thing going on. You, as an advocate, have to know that it's important for you to look around. Don't have your head in the sand. Know where you need to focus and where you need to what you need to do, but know what is going on. Know the issues because in corporate, sometimes I think women we just go, I ain't gonna deal with that. I'm just tired. No, it's important to know what's going on and then see where you need to do your work and where at what time you need to do it. So thank you for sharing with us timing and purpose and alignment. And it sounds like at this point in your life, you're doing your greatest work. Would you think? You're doing your greatest work? Would you say?
I would say, man, I was thinking about this and that
Yeah.
idea of your greatest work is
Yeah.
seems so large to me. And
Yeah.
I because I believe that I could be doing more. And I always believe that, and I always have to remind myself that you're doing what you can do, and this
Right.
is this is where you're supposed to be, and this is what you're supposed to be doing. And like you're saying, you gotta go back and ground yourself a little bit, and like it's okay. And but I do believe that for where I'm at right now today, like I'm doing my greatest work.
I think
And I
so.
hope that 10 years from now, I'll be saying that I'm doing my greatest work and like on people's perspective, it really will look like, wow, this is the greatest work. You know what I'm saying? And I think that
Yes.
like I think that it's such a relative thing, that idea of the greatest work that you're doing. It's so relative to the time that you're in right now. And I think that being understanding in space and time and where you're at is how you're gonna be able to wrap your head around, are you doing the greatest work that you can be doing right now today?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because when you turn my age, which is 56, you will look back and this will be chronicled and you'll be able to hear all these different interviews. And I will say, when I was 21, I didn't even have a quarter of the foundation that you have, which is why I just want to consistently shine your light because you are a beacon of hope for a lot of young people. Tell me a little bit about how you are breathing life into these young advocates. How do you help them? What do you say to them?
So for me, okay, so the journey started always with storytelling, and it's
Yeah.
still storytelling, and it's still understanding that power of dialogue and storytelling. And so
Mhm.
that's what I do. I go and I tell my story to young advocates, young Muslim girls, young athletes, even all the way to the college level. I've also talked to college athletes, and I think that one thing that I've always tell them is to understand, especially to the college students, I guess I would say two different things to the 8-year-olds versus to the 18, 20-year-olds. But to the college students, what I would always remind them is that as they go into their professional careers, as they go, if they leave sports behind, as they go into their corporate careers, it's what are you doing what are you doing to make the spaces that you occupy better? Because if you're living in status quo land in the space that you occupy, then you're doing a disservice to the generation after you. And I think especially when I'm talking to athletes that are going to go into their professional careers, or students that are going into their careers, it's for them to look inside and say, okay, if is where I'm at right now, is it a space that I want to leave for the next generation? I have
Mm.
a student club at Ohio State called, we have a Voice in Sport chapter. And
Mm.
what we do is we take the school and we do a Title IX evaluation on the athletics. And we basically it's a very tedious thing to do because we have to literally go to every female sport and every male sport and understand, okay, what uniforms do you get? What uniforms do you get? What TV time, and compare. And then we do a Title IX evaluation. But that is, in a way, in a lot of the female athletes that join the club is because they want to leave Ohio State athletics a better place than when they came. Because they're not comfortable living in status quo land, you know, and they do believe that there's change to be made in Ohio State athletics, and it starts with thinking, okay, like taking a step back, because we like to complain a lot, you know, we like to be like, oh, I don't like this is annoying, we don't get this uniform, the boys have this locker room, all this, but this space gives these student athletes a space to sit down and say, okay, these are our issues, here they are on paper, what are our next steps? Do we talk to the athletic board of directors? And I think that's something that I hope that everyone that I come in contact with is able to take away, is that idea of, am I leaving this space better for the next generation? Because that at its core, I feel like, is my mission. And when I talk to young advocates, the younger ones, I think that it's just understanding that you don't need to change yourself. You don't need to change anything about yourself to make the person next to you feel more comfortable.
Say that louder.
Thank you. That's something that I learned when I was 16 after being disqualified. There's always the question of, why don't you just take it off? And in my mind, I'm like, why? So that official, that old man can feel so happy, you know what I mean? So he can feel better and he can feel like, okay, cross country now looks like how it's supposed to look, you know? There's no random hijabi on the course. This is how it's supposed to look now. Like, that's why, you know what I mean? Because there's no danger, there's no infringement on you being your full on. If there's no danger, not hurting anyone, and you being your full authentic self and you being who you are truly, then there's no need to lessen that to make someone else more comfortable. And I think that's something that I hope that all the younger kids and the younger generation can truly understand, and something that I hope to drill into my own little sister's mind forever. That like, and I know that it's like, you know, but you're the coolest girl around, you know? And I think that if you get her to understand that at such a young age, like, you're so cool. And, you know, hopefully one day when she does wear the hijab, then she'll still be like, yeah, I am so cool. You know what I mean? And I am who I'm supposed to be, who I am. I believe in my religion. I believe in this hijab. And I think that if you help those younger kids understand that they are so cool, you know? They don't have to look to other places or look to make other people more comfortable and hide themselves and feel like they have to shrink their personalities. I think it breaks my heart when you're watching a bunch of like little girls playing and you see one girl get a little quiet, you know? And you just know it's because she feels like she needs to shrink herself, and you just want to tell her, like, you're so cool, like, you know? And I think it's a cool thing to do, and I think that it's a beautiful thing, and I think it's something that sport gives to young kids, this confidence and this place to grow as your full authentic self. I think that sport is a beautiful place to do it, and growing up as an athlete, I think is something that's attributed to like who I am now today.
Did y'all hear that passion? That's called passion. You're going to hear that at the All Rise Live Global Summit. Y'all, well, first of all, Nora, before we close, I want to hear what message you have for corporate America to deal with that. People keep saying, you're included, you belong, all these kinds of things. What message do you have to corporate America about all that thing you said about accepting our Gen Zs, and what do you say to that?
So to the women of corporate America,
to the woman of corporate America, number one, because they need to learn some lessons from you. But then two, what do you say to the corporate structure that has historically not been for women and women who actually have a voice? What do you say to that?
I think that as I've gone through this journey of the past 4 years, one thing that I've realized is that it's always changing. Is that something always changing. There's a new policy in place. The media is all of a sudden working against you again. And I
Right.
think that especially for Muslim women who are now, we're in this place that we start to feel like the media is working against us again. Because unfortunately politics have a lot to do with where we're at in corporate careers. I think that it's important to say, this is where I'm at, this is where I belong, I have the qualifications for where I'm at, and I do belong here. Because I think that a lot of the times you get this like this, I guess it's called imposter syndrome, no? When
Yeah.
you get this
Yeah.
idea of I'm not
Yep.
supposed to be here. And that's because people make, and honestly, people will make you feel like you don't belong there and like you're not good enough. And I think that if you take a step back and you understand, like, no, I got this job just like they did, and I am supposed to be here. No matter what anyone else has to say about it, no matter how hard other people are working against you, it's important to just to take a step back and understanding your worth. And I think that comes from confidence, sometimes being a little bit overconfident, if that's even a thing, I don't know.
Yeah.
But like I was just saying like a few minutes ago, I feel like I'm boasting, you know, but it's okay to feel like that
Yep.
sometimes.
Come on.
Saying like, no, I'm supposed to be here, this is where I'm at. And I think that that corporate America and their we're so diverseness and is a really funny thing to me, especially as I've seen times change over the last 9 months as a Muslim woman. And as I've seen people take a step back on their we're so diverse. There was a Lululemon campaign that featured a Muslim hijabi woman, and it was supposed to debut for the New York City Marathon. And they cut her out of the campaign. Every single picture, she was cropped out of the campaign.
Wow.
And that to me is like Lululemon fits all, whatever their slogan is, fits all. But the minute that it doesn't match what's going on in the media right now, the minute that it's not so pretty, then they take a step back on their we're so diverse. You know what I mean?
Right.
Fits every campaign. And I think that is one of the biggest things with corporate America, and just understanding that you're not living in a land of everything's going to stay the same. It's always constantly evolving, constantly moving, and you have to evolve and move with it, but you have to evolve and move with it as your full self, because the minute you start to hide, that's when it starts to get tough for the next generation after you. And yeah, it's really something that we're living through right now.
Noor, I just got chill bumps. Do y'all feel what I'm feeling? This is our generation right here speaking, Noor. And I love everything about you.
Thank you.
I love you. I just love you so much. I love your family. I love your mom. I love your dad. I love your sisters. I love everything that you do. You are a force. We need you. And I'm so glad that you have a practice about yourself, that you pull away from all the noise and you give to Noor so that you can give to others. I'm so grateful that you will be speaking at the All Rise Live Global Summit in Chicago, sharing everything that you are. And I'm so grateful to grace the stage because I knew how powerful you were in 2023. And as long as I live and as how many gray hairs I'm going to get, I'm still going to be hanging out with you if you let me. But I love you. And thank you so much for everything. Tell your mama I say hi.
Oh, I will.
Yes.
But we're so excited for the All Rise Global Summit and just being around women that want to grow.
Yes.
It's one of the beautiful, beautiful settings to be in. And we're so excited to be there with you guys.
Yes, I love it. Well, Rise with Diana podcast, please share, like, tell us what you think. Hit Noor up. Noor, where should they reach you? Where can they reach you?
Instagram is my favorite mode of communication.
Yes,
So you can find
Noor
Alexandria on IG, NoorAlexandria. Yeah.
Awesome. And Let Noor Run.
LetNoorRun.com. But you'll find any updates on LetNoorRun.com as well as on my Instagram. I like to say it is the way that it's transpired, Noor is Let Noor Run. So
yeah, Noor is Let Noor Run. You are amazing. Well, my friends, thank you so much for tuning in. And I cannot wait for you to hear more and from Noor. And let's cheer her on at the Berlin Marathon. Well, this is time stamped right here. She probably will have been running a lot more marathons as to come. So thank you so much, Noor. All right, we'll see you next time.
Bye.
All right. Thank you, Noor. I appreciate you.
I'm so sorry.
Good.